So, Lynn Cox here, rapid transformational therapist, also um, the operator of the 28-day weight wellness program. I want to chat a little bit today about the concept of imagination and how it relates to the therapy of rapid transformational therapy, as well as how imagination powers any kind of change that we're making in our life or transformation. So I know everyone's a big fan of quotes, but I do love most what Einstein said about imagination. I looked it up, and it was something basically to the effect of imagination is more powerful than knowledge because knowledge is limited. So if you come at it from the perspective of change, or if you have that idea, I think the saying goes something like, well, the best indicator of future behavior will be past behavior or past performance. That's really taking a perspective that you know what you've seen, and so therefore that's what you can expect. But if you're hoping to make any kind of significant change in your life, you have to be able to tap into the imagination. And I've worked in communications and public relations for nearly 20 years. And so that's kind of more of a creative type of industry to be in. But what I've found is that as we get older and as we get into these corporate environments or places, like it always used to kill me when people would try to get a group into a room and say, hey, we're all going to sit here at the table and look at each other and come up with a really great idea and be really creative on the spot. That's just not how imagination works. You need to be in a really relaxed state to be able to let ideas just kind of uh, filter in. So, from an RTT perspective, you must be able to somehow excite your mind into a vision of the new experience you can have. So, for those of you who haven't experienced a session, part of what we do in a session is prior to taking clients under hypnosis to unroot the root causes of whatever presenting issue they have, is we have a discussion, and I always prep them in advance for this. We have a discussion where I need to get them to describe to me, as if they're a writer, a storyteller, um, a director. I need to get them to describe to me in their language, in the way that excites their imagination the most, what exactly does their life look like without this presenting issue. So we could be talking about without carrying extra weight, or without having an addiction to sugar, or without, being unable to sleep. And I always coach them to, don't talk about what's happened in the past. Don't talk about what you think the reason is for it. We're going to only be engaging the imagination, using every single one of your senses. What are you seeing, hearing, smelling? Who are you with? What are you wearing? How do you feel? Where do you notice it in your body? And to get really deep, deep, deep into that. And I've worked with a number of clients, and although I coach them to do this and we start to have that part of the conversation, I would say, no doubt, probably 85 to 90% of them still find themselves going back to, oh yeah, but I've always done this, or oh yeah, no, or this happened. And it's really, really difficult for people to stay within the imagination of that thing they haven't yet experienced but could imagine experiencing. And this is so, so, so critical to the process of rapid transformational therapy, because your mind responds to words and pictures, and you must kind of raise your energy level, get your mind into that really excited state. It's got to be something that excites the mind for it to take hold. So being able to be imaginative and get into your imagination as to, okay, well, what does life look like if I shed this extra 50 pounds that I've been carrying for my last 10 years of my life? Well, I imagine I would feel super proud of myself. I'd feel light, I'd feel strong, I'd feel airy, I'd feel confident talking to people. Like you really have to get into that use of the imagination in order to affect any change. And imagination is a totally brilliant thing. I don't know what happens to us as we age. It kind of gets knocked out of us a little bit. Like if you look at any kid who's age 10, 12, and even younger, kind of depending on maybe how they're raised or what their influences are, they're just like space cadets out there doing silly things, never caring what people think about them, wild imaginations, excited about the smallest little things. And that can tend to diminish in us as we get older, and that's a crying shame. I mean, I'm a big student of martial arts and yoga and Zen Buddhist kind of philosophies, and there is a kind of saying across the board, and I even think in Christian texts, be like a child. So don't think that you know something. That's one of the most exciting ways to live in the life, is kind of not thinking that you know everything, not thinking that past experience means that you know exactly how this is going to play out. Being able to access your imagination, being able just to kind of close your eyes and get into your mind and excite your brain, excite your mind about a potential future. Like, I just had the most phenomenal conversation with a gentleman who's nearly 70 years old and wants to shed about 30 extra pounds that he's been carrying for, I don't know, the past 15 years or so. And so his big thing was he was, eating pretty well and quite active and quite aware of things, but always going to snack after 7 o'clock. So we talked about, okay, what does life look like if he's getting down to this weight that he wants to be at? What are his habits of action? And so he really got into that. So we built into his recording that, once he finishes his dinner, his healthy dinner at 7 o'clock at night, he's totally satiated, feels amazing, is excited to get on to the other things that he's doing during the evening, is totally just ambivalent towards food. And when we spoke yesterday, halfway in between his 21 days of listening to his recording, he said to me, yeah, well, I've noticed myself losing weight. And I guess that's because I haven't been eating after 7. And in fact, I haven't wanted to eat after 7. And he had been doing that habit of action for many, many years, but just opened himself up to imagining, okay, what is he doing? How is he behaving when he gets into this, transformational state that he really wants to be in? And that's just one small example. But from the perspective of imagination, it's such a important way to kind of keep ourselves youthful, energized, optimistic, and really creative. Like, if we can just allow our minds to just kind of go and imagine the best case scenarios, that's when you're going to really be able to see some change. So yeah, just wanted to have that little chat about imagination, about how all of us can get that back, and how it is really necessary to see some big changes in our lives. So thanks. Have a great day.